Cute and funny girls with guns is finally here. Blue Archive fans are eating good today with the release of the first episode of Blue Archive, the animation. Now, admittedly, I have been playing Blue Archive for quite a while now, but like most mobile games, I have zero clue about the story because I'm a story skipper. I'm sorry. I'm a story skipper. But I was excited for this series coming out because I love the game. I have a lot of fun with the characters. I think they're super cute and funny. And I was looking forward to the show because, one, yes, Yoastar Pictures working on it, and I kind of assumed that there was going to be a bit of a budget thrown into this whole series because it's a mobile game. And mobile games often get really good budget. And based on the first episode so far, it looks really good. If I can give this series anything, it's nailing the characters and it's nailing the animation. Now, story, it's up in the air still. I was not expecting the opening to be as dark as it was, but it does kind of have me a little bit curious as to if we'll ever get to answering what that really dark intro was. If you are a reader of the story, I don't need to know, by the way, in the comments. I'm just right now going shock. It was really bloody. But then it kind of jumps right into cute girls doing cute things with guns, which I'm all for. I love Arknights for that. Well, Arknights is more, they're cute and they have guns and jackets, but it's really dark. Whereas this one's a lot like fluffier. It's like a fluffier Arknights based on just playing the game and this one episode. What's really crazy is the show was trending on X for quite a while, like 130,000 posts that I've seen at some point. So fans of Blue Archive are very passionate. I'm not sure, it might be botting, but I highly doubt that. It looked like they were all legit when I was kind of scrolling through it to see what people were saying. It looks like people are just really excited for this, which is really shocking because, yes, some of those that are watching this video right now are going, where the hell did you watch it? Yeah, it's kind of not available, at least in North America. Nobody has it. I don't know if it's Crunchyroll's last announcement. I don't know if they'll announce it by the time I post this. High Dive doesn't have it. High Dive, wake up. I do have a theory that it might possibly be that they are asking too much from Crunchyroll, and Crunchyroll doesn't want to pay for that, which again, because it has such a massive fandom, they may be wanting to ask for more money for it. But that's just a random theory that I have, or maybe they're asking too much, Crunchyroll is questioning it, and High Dive is in talks with them, and so there's a little bit of a back and forth. We'll see. Or maybe they just don't want to release it over here. maybe the property owners are like, nah, we don't want them to have it. We don't like you guys. We'll see. But anyhow, I watched the first episode, and that's my thoughts on it. Blue Archive, the animation, opens up, like I said earlier, kind of grim and dark. Things aren't going well. There's some lady there and she shoots some dude that has a tablet. Then it cuts over to a train where you have this girl talking to this guy. And she's mentioned the idea that she regrets all of her decisions, but she's made those decisions, learning from those decisions, all this kind of stuff. But then kind of mentioned the idea that hopefully he'll make a different decision. And so then we cut over to specifically one class in Kivotos. Kivotos is this one town, and it's sort of all kind of controlled, or at least kept safe and managed by this General Student Council. The time that it opens up, it seems like the current president's missing, and they're trying to keep order still. This area is kind of filled with a bunch of different academies. It's like an academy city. We then cut over to one specific school, and that is Abydos High School. Now, it kind of over time explains that this school itself has pretty much had most people leave, and that's because it's like has a massive amount of debt. There's currently only 5 people that are actually attending the school, and that's Shiroko, Serika, best girl, Nonomi, Ayane, and Hoshino. And these 5 students are trying to get them out of debt. They're taking on different commissions in order to pay off that debt so they can rebuild the school itself. Well, as they're kind of at their wits' end, at some point, Shiroko actually passes by this one teacher on her way to school, and she ends up helping him because he's like literally drying up. He had to walk through this entire desert in order to arrive at this school, and he nearly dehydrated. But they restore him, and then he mentioned the fact that, oh yeah, by the way, I was actually sent here. I'm the new teacher here. And that's the point in which this Kata Kata helmet gang shows up to try to take over the school, and all the girls go out there to defend it, at which point Sensei goes out there and asks the girls one important question. Why are you so dead set on saving the school? They answer that it's their place, and at that point he kind of gives them guidance in order to, you know, flank and take over the gang and drive them off. And that's pretty much the story. And at the very end, we see the teacher go off to this one area where this Arona is, which kind of implies the idea that Arona is part of this system, or at least in this tablet that is allowing him to essentially guide the girls. But yeah, my thoughts on the show so far. This first episode, to be perfectly honest, is information dump. Let's not beat around the bush. This episode is pure information dump. It does a kind of fun way of doing it, and the idea that you have like this everybody's getting an update from Ayane. She's explaining the whole situation. It's getting into the fact that there used to be chaos. This president is currently missing. They're trying to rebuild this one school, and there's all these different academies. They're trying to create this treaty between the academies itself. It's just currently chaos there. And yes, this school has a massive amount of debt. And again, just like the overall world itself. It's just kind of bam, bam, bam. They're constantly trying to update you on exactly why they're there, what they're doing, and what they're facing. So, that aside, the fact that, like, literally it felt like a third of the episode is information dump, which I can argue is probably pretty rough to have it all in one go. Everything else is pretty much the shenanigans of the characters, and that's honestly what I'm kind of looking for. Yes, I'm intrigued by the opening sequence, having a very dark setting and something obviously going wrong that they're hoping, seems to imply they're hoping will be undone in this kind of play out with the teacher, assumingly. But other than that, it's just kind of mostly just the shenanigans of the characters. There's a lot of focus on Shiroko sort of being sort of the quiet one. She's to herself. She likes to bike a lot. She comes to school. She ends up running into all the other students, which are, again, Serika. Serika seems to be the one that is very much so the comedy relief. They're all comedy relief, but I think Serika really stood out the most because her reactions to every single person's comments was kind of center point to the entire scene. It's like it didn't go by one character saying something without her reacting to it. Her claiming that she went to the library, and then, oh yeah, Ayana is like, oh, I went to the library too. Obviously, Serika was lying. Nanami seems to be the rich girl, likes to flash the credit card, buy a lot of things, shop whenever she has any time. Ayane seems to be all about learning things. Apparently, currently, she's looking into dual overhead cams, which I think apparently in Japan is called double overhead cam, which I've never heard that term before, but I've heard dual overhead cams, so maybe that's what she's talking about. And then Hoshino seems to be the president, and she just likes to sleep a lot. And I think I'm only getting from Hoshino is that she likes to sleep a lot, which you got to have that character. But their kind of chemistry so far kind of works out really well. But like I said before, I don't really find much of the characters very interesting besides Serika, which honestly for this particular academy, that's really the only one I care about. That was sort of one thing that I was a little bit disappointed in seeing the PV as I was coming into the show, because I knew that this class was going to be the focus because they're apparently the chapter 1 story. They're not the most interesting of the students that I like in the actual mobile game. The only one that I actually remotely like is Serika. And yes, there's a part of that because she kind of resembles Azunya from K-On! You put those little cat ears on her, it's literally Serika. And that was probably why I was mostly kind of drawn to her. But additionally, like I said before, she kind of steals the scene. Like, her personality is very goofy, she's very reactive, and that kind of plays into pretty much like I was mentioning earlier, the visuals of this show so far being fantastic. Why I say that is, yes, putting aside the action scenes, putting aside the absolutely insanely animated OP, focusing in on the character interactions just for the moment-to-moment of the show itself, Serika stands out. And why does she stand out? Expressiveness. She has crazy animation in her expressiveness, and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to the most with the series, assuming that most of the show is going to be just the characters interacting and having fun. And nothing sells me on a show like this more than that expressiveness. But additionally, adding on top of that, actually having, since we have characters that have like cat ears and whatnot, having them react to the expressions as well. Just seeing Serika's ears just flopping around constantly was like, yes, yes, that attention to detail is literally what sells it for me. And I'm like, yes, keep doing this. You guys are doing a good job. Now, get into the other characters. My biggest hope right now is that this is not going to be strictly focused on this class. Because yes, like, most of my favorite characters are in Gehenna. And I'm not sure if they're going to get into Gehenna. Like I said, I have not watched the story. I would assume that maybe this might be focusing on just this class and not Gehenna, or any of the other classes like Trinity or something like that, with like Mika, or maybe other characters like Yuka, which I just absolutely love. But we'll see. It might get around to those other characters, but currently it seems like it's focused on this class and them trying to get out of debt. But yeah, getting further into the animation itself, yes, the action scene itself was pretty awesome. Now, I will admit that yes, there is a use of CGI. It's very well blended, though. I think that they've chosen a really great style for the show overall, that when it comes to the CGI being included, it's got a good cell shading to it, so it kind of matches in. It's really only noticeable whenever the actual weaponry kind of turns a little bit. That's when you can kind of see that roundedness to it. But it still has a good shading to it, that it matches the shading of the characters itself. That's where it blends in well. And I think this is something that a lot of studios don't really nail, but they're nailing it here. And again, I think that's a lot to do with the fact that it seems like they put a lot of thought into what they were going to do with the weapons themselves and how it was going to match with the overall style. So hats off to them. Again, it's noticeable, but it doesn't stick out. It doesn't detract from the show itself. It doesn't make you scream, oh my gosh, there's CGI. It's not like they put a bunch of like hyper texture detail onto that to where it stands out from like the very flat characters themselves. No pun intended, but they do a really good job of kind of mixing it all. The visual design also lends itself to the actual scenic views and everything as well. A lot of the establishment shots, especially with like Shiroko kind of going through the city itself, really kind of suck me into the environment of the world itself. So overall, like hats off to them. And like I said earlier, that OP was absolutely incredible. I just had to like immediately drop what I was doing, like cut that little segment out and post it on X because I'm like, oh my gosh, this OP. Now, I'm not a massive fan of the actual song itself. It's very so much a character song where you have each of the characters taking turns singing the song. It's very much so like an idol show, which I'll get into in a minute, kind of adds to the show itself. It very much so sounded like an idol song, but the visual itself were just they were so freaking fantastic. Just the shot of like Shiroko running down the hallway shooting, it looked gorgeous. And that added with the final combat sequence of the episode, which did kind of have a lot of shots where it wasn't really doing much. Kind of gives me a lot of hope for like the future episodes, if they do have a lot of combat sequences and fighting, that we can get a lot more crazy action in it. Now again, going to Yostar Pictures, who technically did Arknights as well, Arknights wasn't always over-the-top animation. It was always about style and directing. So I'm not going to put too much hope into this show actually being very action-oriented. Again, I think it's probably going to be more focused around the characters. But either way, whatever it can do, I'm going to love it. Because, again, just the directing is on point. Just a lot of the shots are just absolutely perfect. I cannot express enough. This show is just directing gold. Like, the director and the team behind this just nailed something here. Literally, like, this is one of those cases where no matter what the show is about, because it looks so good, who cares? Not to say the show isn't good. I'm just saying this is one of those examples of just how to nail directing and presenting the story and presenting the characters in a way that is just so visually appealing. But yeah, like I was mentioning earlier, the idol thing. I could not find a better way of describing Blue Archive, at least this first episode, than literally an idol show. It literally opens up with the school that is about to get shut down, say club. The idol club that's going to get shut down. They have some sort of debt. They're going to get shut down. And then what happens? A new sensei shows up to try to undo everything. The producer shows up and tries to undo the debt and get them out there and be successful. It's literally a story about these girls who are, yes, commissioners. They have guns and all that kind of stuff, being taken over by the new producer, the new teacher, and try to get out of debt so they can save the school. It's literally a school idol episode. So yeah, that was kind of a funny note. I'm not sure if that was intentional from the original release of the Blue Archive mobile game, or if that was intentional or not, but that's kind of what I was feeling from it. But anyways, like I said before, I'm liking the interaction so far. It's just like a cute girls doing cute things that I think we're just not getting enough of anymore, even though, yes, you're adding in the guns as well. The interaction with the characters was a lot of fun. Like I said, most of it was Serika. She just kind of carries the show with her personality, and I'm looking forward to more. Hopefully, again, we get more of the other characters showing up from the other schools, like, you know, Mika, Yuka, Mutsuki would be really great to have her in it. Hina, they showed a brief shot of Hina and Iori, and I think Mitsuki was in there. There was also Mika as well. She was like in a very brief shot. So they've shown them. Hopefully we can actually get them in the show as well, but we'll see. But that's my thoughts on the first episode. I'm looking forward to more. I think this might be like a sugar show this season that I can kind of enjoy, aside from Eurocamp. Just a fun little show that I can enjoy every single week, and it just absolutely looks gorgeous. So anyhow, that's my thoughts on the first episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what's the thought of the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button to get my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. I'll be doing first impressions of all the shows of the season, so if you want to get an idea of all 60 plus of them, this is the place to be. But additionally, if you like this content, you want to support the channel more, add Patreon link, tips link, so thanks for membership button down below. Greatly appreciate what it does. You know, take care.